and meeting us through this book. And we're really excited to be sharing this with you all. And so we had this idea of starting with just a meditation, because I've been talking with a lot of people recently how Zoom takes us sort of out of our bodies and into these other worlds. And so we're going to just kind of take a moment just to breathe and to consider why you're tuning into this call, and what does peace mean to you. And it's particularly poignant in these times for us all. So we're just going to take a couple of minutes just to kind of tune in and arrive. And then what will happen is we'll put you into smaller breakout groups, and then you'll be meeting a couple of people as a way of introducing yourself and just finding out, why are you on this call, and what is this word peace, this such, all-encompassing word. What does it really mean to you? And why peace in peace building, and why the arts in peace building. Some new people, and then we're going to really hearing from everyone who's contributed to the book, and you'll have chance to ask questions and to really understand what is within the book that can be maybe of service to you and your communities and your projects. So yeah, maybe just take a moment just to kind of breathe, and if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and maybe notice with your breath, as we're leaning often very much into these screens, maybe just notice you're sitting back. If it's your morning or afternoon, just sit back and allow yourself to not have to kind of extend your energy in through this dimension that we are all supposed to be brilliant at all the time and happy about. And allow yourself just to settle back. And with a breath, allow yourself to come into your ground through the seat that you're on, as if you're kind of anchored in your body, not anchored in this ethereal, intimate space, but in your body, in your home, within yourself. And with a breath, allow yourself just to relax even more, as if you're breathing into the base and allowing your breath almost to kind of go through your body down, maybe down through the ground beneath you, and imagine that going down into the deep earth below you, as if you're connecting to a source of energy in the earth that is nourishing and life-giving and knows exactly what you need and can provide that for you, even in this moment, with whatever you are managing and navigating, that you can breathe and allow yourself to be connected to this planet Earth that I think is wiser maybe than any of us, and you can allow that energy to kind of come up through the deepest ground into your body and into your heart. And just take a moment to notice what you might feel grateful for. Maybe it's a person or something that matters to you. And maybe it's something that matters to you that is why you're here on this call today, giving your time to be curious about peace and how creativity can bring healing into communities and can be a bridge to finding well-being. And maybe take a moment and consider, what does peace mean to you? And what is an image of peace for you? If it was a painting or a color or an energy, what might be a symbol of peace for your heart and for your community, for the people that you care about? And when you imagine that symbol or that picture or that color, allow it just to say something to you, as if it's a messenger, to bring you some source of wisdom today. And notice what it might speak, as if it was a living being telling you its story. And notice how you feel as you stay with this sense of this image of peace, peace building. peacemaking. And maybe remember that image as if you would like a photograph captured on your phone. And then take a deep breath. As you breathe out, allow yourself just to come back slowly into this space. And maybe slowly open your eyes. And for those of you with cameras on, maybe notice who's on your screen. And we're going to send you out into some breakout groups. There should be maybe groups of 3, maybe sometimes a bit bigger. And we'd love you just to introduce yourselves to each other and maybe share if you had a sense of what your image was or your color or what that message was about what peace means to you through this image. Yeah, maybe feel free to share that as a way of just connecting with each other in these small breakout groups. But yeah, introduce this book sort of touch you and make you curious. So our team are going to send you out, and we'll be out for about sort of 7 minutes. I think we're going to do that, and you'll get a little notice saying that we're going to let you back in. So let's see if this technology helps us do this. So enjoy meeting each other.
Carrie and Raymond for the kind introductions and helping us going through this, the very beginning stage. And especially and sincerely thanks to each and every one of you who are making the time to be with us today from all around the world for this launch of our book, Navigating the Nexus of Art and Peace. So we'll just introduce myself a little bit. My name is Hiên once again. I'm the Executive Director of Women Peacemakers, WPM, that works on the issue of gender and peace since 2003. So being peace builders and conflict transformation practitioners, I believe we always try to explore creative way to transform conflict. So the explorations in art for peace building at WPM comes from experiential approach that we have been partnering with artists as well as art organization over the past several years. So we have piloted numerous approaches in meaningful collaboration with incredible creatives that have brought their skill and craft to our communities. It ranged from peace months to documentaries to community boat painting to photography, comics book, forum theater, and more. So what is special about our collaboration so far is about our continuous reflections throughout the process. While there are successes and transformations among the participants, we also recognize that there are dynamics we have between each other. So, but what is interesting is that with the openness, respects, and commitment to collaborate, we managed to agree to disagree, to deeply reflect and to come together to work on this book, exploring and reflecting on those dynamics and how can we address our differences creatively so then we can be able to co-create and work together smoothly. So from those experiences, we have come to realize how transformative it has been so far for art to penetrate through the conflict dynamics and also provide an opportunity for dialogue and better understanding. So because, you know, for me, I really think that because conflict is deeply rooted in how people experience and perceive things. So the uniqueness of art can creatively break down those perceptions and perceive and how we perceive things. Especially those stereotypes that allow people to see conflict from a different point of view. So so I think for this, I would like to take these opportunities. It definitely help us to come together to reflect on things. So I really thanks, especially to take this chance to our arts and creative based organizations, partners such as our Ragamuffin Project Center for Creative Arts Therapies, Bopana Centers, Peace Mass Project in Japan, Peace Boat, the School Slow Media, and Cambodian Living Art for their partnership and reflective journey we have together so far. And I would also like to thank our funding partners, such as the Niwano Peace Foundations, the Penju Giving, who will also be with us today, for allowing us to be creative in our approach in peace building. But also thanks to the GIZ, for example, and MCC, and a few other donors who have Toyota Foundation, for example, who allow us to continue to use this artistic approach in our peace building work. And I also would like to thank specifically to our advising peace building artists as well, Donna Park, Carrie and Marie. Each one of them intersect the nexus of art and peace, and they serve as a fundamental connectors to bring artists and peace builders closer together for better understanding, and also to serve communities throughout this thoughtful intention and creativity. So I hope that this nexus of art and peace book that explore how we balance different views between artists and peace builder can serve as an ongoing reflective resources for artists to have space to create, while they also ensure our communities on the ground in the conflict can take the center stage, and therefore allow both the artists and peace builder to work together to be able to address conflict non-violently and creatively. So we're just very briefly about that, and I would like to introduce next to Donna, who is an independent artist and also the creative peace building advisor at VM Peacemakers, and also a dear friend to mine that I have been looking up to for creativity in the field. And she will share her experience as an artist from peace building perspective. So please join me to welcome Donna.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world, and especially to people from the West Coast, because I know it's really early. My name is Donna Park, and I'm an artist based in Canada. And I've worked with women peacemakers since 2017, when I was a program development support officer working with Hing, meeting Raymond and meeting Maria, and now finally Carrie as well. And I do have a small visual presentation because I like visual things that I would like to share with you. But there we go. Let me just screen share. And there we go, I think. Okay, I think everybody can see this. So, as an artist, I have to stretch, prod, and have the ability to evoke a million responses. I've heard from, why are you even drawing that, to, can't you draw this, or this is so scandalous. And sometimes the most shocking, in my personal opinion, when somebody shares, wow, that art piece really resonates with what goes on in my life. Wow. I am always intimidated by those responses, but it always helps me realize that this is what it means when art depicts humanity, a neutral zone when the audience is free to express and reflect and sometimes empathize. Personally, for me, I rarely think about the audience or the response, critique, whatever comment when I'm in the process of creating. And my process, well, I simply answer, I don't really have a process. This is an example of my free-for-all painting, which I call freedom painting, a piece that I did in my first year in my undergraduate education, where I had the complete freedom. I was done with exams, I had no pressure, and I felt extremely free to do whatever I wanted. I knew that art was a meditative tool and that it could be used in a community, but at that time, I had no inclination of using my art to do that. But with more social justice work in school and after school, and then working with peace building with WPM, I began to realize that art would eventually seep into my practice for peace as well. When I worked with art and peace building, it felt like two worlds had collided to create a new world, a difficult but necessary one where I would be pushed to explore tensions and to grow as an artist with a heart for peace. And I was extremely challenged in this space. This is a photo of our Life Afloat activity that I did last summer. And as I mentioned, I was extremely challenged. And I mentioned I didn't have a process. And here I needed a process. Each step involved different members, despite the fact that I would be the one holding a paintbrush. I was representing people, language, identity, and stories and livelihood told by generations through art. How should I interpret their stories? And I now had to think about the audience, whereas before, the art was for my own sake. The environment was in plein air, in the moment, outside of my comfort zone, and physically I would be uncomfortable, not used to local temperature or climate. And here is a video, a small, very small clip of me working inside the WPM office with a peace boat that we found, that we bought from one of the communities that WPM worked with. And this eventually led to one of our exhibits. Just a very small snippet. So aside from my personal challenges, I became sensitive towards other dynamics. I knew I came in as an artist foremost, but undeniably different tensions existed. Questions I've constantly asked were, what is my own role as a foreigner? Am I also here to learn? What are my goals as an artist? And how does this communicate with the community or other peace builders? How do I communicate my goals and preserve my integrity as an artist? That last question, preserving my integrity as an artist, is a huge question, especially for young artists trying to find a foothold in professionalism, because our work has sometimes become non-work in the statement that anyone can do art, or the fact that artists are easily exploited because it's assumed that it's an easy or very cheap task to do. And I believe that art indeed provokes many different responses such as these. There's issues and tensions that we always have to balance. Ultimately, our publication serves to guide both artists and peace builders through these tensions, and we have to continue to ask these questions and communicate clearly in order to work together. And this is what I've learned throughout this process as I've been writing the book, that it's very reflective, and it was also a medium where I could start organizing my thoughts and address the questions that I had in my mind as I was working in a peace building context. And that's it for my visual presentation, and I believe there we go. And yeah, so thank you for listening to my story and as well as seeing all the photos. And now I think I would love to introduce you to Raymond Haima. And there's nothing much to say that except that he's a mediator, a peace builder, and multi-talented co-developer of facilitated listening design, as well as the co-author of the Who's Listening series published by WPM. And he has provided a massive guidance and friendship to myself and others over the years. So yeah, and now we have Raymond Haima.
Thank you, Donna. Beautiful. I was just saying in the chat, Donna's art always touches me. And just to give you a bit of a background, I see myself more as somebody working in peace building, but and a non-artist. I am very quick to tell everyone I'm not an artist, and but I often feel very hypnotized by art, and I feel something as I work more and more with art and peace building. I feel something strange and mysterious that I've never been able to really communicate or express before myself. So art has deeply touched me, and Donna's art always deeply touches me in different ways, and working with Donna in this field. I think initially when I started to work with artists as a non-artist in peace building, I found a really clear-cut difference between ways of working with artists in more of the organizational peace building, international organization, NGO world. And I think that I often felt I experienced some gap in between values sometimes, or ways of working, or objectives. I found common ground, and I felt inspired, but I often found there was some challenges. And I think that through this journey, I found different people like Donna, like Maria, like Carrie, and like many of you in this call that I know, that I call, creative peace builders, artistic peace builders, peace building artists, these people that are navigating the nexus of art and peace, and these people that are able to kind of bring different aspects to art and peace. And I've been deeply, deeply and truly inspired by them on this journey. And I think in terms of that, we're going to be sharing the book with you very soon. One of the things that I found really very useful and helpful to me in this work is a section. It's actually a tool called the Guiding Principles for Community Art for Peace Initiatives. And this is a tool that we worked on together with artists and peace builders to try to find different kinds of values that we might share or we might not. And it's very much of an organizational example from Women Peacemakers and the work there. But it was something that we started with, that we could really start a conversation before we start with working in art and peace and in this intersection. Let's have a conversation about values and about what we want for us in the community, us as professionals, and artists as professional artists and creators, and how can we work for this together. Just to give you a quick example of one of the values we came across in this, we write, do no harm and safety. Art for Peace initiatives with communities uses a do no harm framework, and safety must be considered the top priority. And that includes safety of communities, team members, staff, artists, participants, and all public who interact in the process or with the product of art. And that is, so we start to look at a value like that and see how can we share, how can we work together and be able to find a common ground where peace builders can feel that safety, community workers can feel that their communities are protected, and artists can feel that they have the space to create their own work within, well, whether they create with communities or work with others. And in this tool, there's spaces for people to write comments about it, to talk about maybe any values that might not be shared. And by the end of it, we both sign it, artists, peace builders, whoever is working within this sphere, we sign it and we acknowledge that we've talked about this, we've looked at it, and we believe that we can work together, whether or not we share every single value or objective of the work. And I think that for me, that has been the most useful exercise in my professional exploration of working with arts in the world of peace building, and it's been really, really beneficial to me. It also highlighted for us some tensions that we felt, and I think as peace builders, we're often quick to recognize tensions, not always so quick to deal with them or to work on them ourselves, but these tensions are very real when working between the nexus of art and peace, and all this artistic creativity versus community ownership and or community safety, or the organizational bureaucracy of peace building and projects or programs. So it's been a really, really interesting journey for me. And I think that I really recommend taking that tool in the book for your own organizations, as an artist, as a peace builder, as a community worker, as anything that you are, and making it your own and coming up with your own values. And they're just examples in the book, but I think it could be really useful for you to, for anybody to come together and think about that as an organization or a group of artists or an individual artist that is trying to get into that world of peace building, or peace builders that are trying to get into the arts and bring those arts to their communities. And now I wanted to turn this over to my dear colleague and friend, Maria Antonia Perez. Maria is someone that I see as a creative peace builder and an artist for social change, and all of that we find in the nexus in this work, and is now really working in the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic with art in communities. And she's working with the Secretary of Culture for the municipality of Medellin in Colombia, and inspires me on a day-to-day level with our work together, our phone calls, and our friendship. So thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Raymond. Thanks for that introduction. Hola. Hi, everyone. As Raymond said, I'm Maria, and I'm now in Colombia, in Medellin. And I want to talk a little bit about that journey and how I met these amazing people that are the co-hosts today, because it's been a journey. We've been navigating to be able to be here today. So it's been incredible. I met Raymond sailing on a boat, a peace boat around the world. So we were already sailing, navigating the nexus of peace. And then we ended up meeting again in Cambodia 2 years ago. And when we met in Cambodia, it was beautiful because I met Ying, Lihor, Carrie, and Donna. So we were all there, and it was beautiful because it was a moment where we all started doing a lot of experiential connections. It was very interesting to see the Women's Peace Network experimenting and asking the right questions. So it was beautiful. It was kind of like a coincidence, or not a coincidence, because everything happens for a reason. And this book basically is the result of that encounter. So it was beautiful to be there, but also to see how we build up, based on the experiences, what we wrote today. My part in the book is just a conclusion, but while I was reading all the book, to be able to have a reflection on that, it was beautiful to see how all these peace builders, how all these artists have been doing their own process, their internal process. So as Raymond said, I'm an artist, I'm a graphic designer. I study illustration, so I was coming from the children's books illustration, and then I was put for some situations into humanitarian aid. So first I was combining humanitarian aid and art, and then I discovered peace boats, so I started working on peace education, and then I was much more interested in peace mediation and conflict resolution. So I studied that. And it was beautiful to see and start reading about the importance of creativity. And this is where I want to focus today. I think this is what really links peace building and art, because to really make a change with peace building or peace in general, you need to be super creative. And this is what artists do. So I found like very interesting connecting points in the text, in the book, and in both practices. So I think when Raymond was talking about the guiding principles of the book, when you read these principles that he says, put it like appropriate of them, like use them in your real practice, it's beautiful to see, for example, how they mention fun and playful. Peace building has to be playful, has to be fun, has to be interesting, but art as well. And I think with art, what I've seen about the art field as an artist, art as a practice will not transform if there's not an intention. Same happened with peace. It has to be intention. And it was beautiful when Donna was explaining her own process. Donna was saying at the beginning, oh, I had no process. I was just doing things organically, experientially. And at the end, when she was much more involved in peace building processes, she understood the importance of process. And I think this is something I'm very focusing right now in my work in Colombia. It's not just the result, because the result at the end on peace and art is just sometimes an object or an exhibition or What is important is the process behind, and they ask ourselves and the communities we work with the right questions, because this is where really peace and art have an intention to change and to transform. So during all this process, yeah, what I was seeing in the content was the concepts of creativity. And I came across, and you haven't read Jean-Paul Lederach in The Moral Imagination. Jean-Paul Lederach is an academic that talks a lot about the importance of creativity for peace building. That was such an inspiration as well, because in my daily work, when I face the situations with the communities, when I face violence challenge, creativity is a toolkit. I mean, it's super important to think in different ways to approach peace. It's different formats, different voices. It has to be diverse. It has to be inclusive. It has to be a process itself. So I think in this book, what you're really going to find is like incredible experiences that brought really interesting reflections. So I just want to invite you to read every single part of it, but also to have your own reflections about it. I think Raymond was giving us a very interesting invitation, is what they wrote in the book. Those are like different steps, but I think in art and peace, you have to make them your own. You have to adjust them, because every territory, Cambodia is different from Medellin, of course. But those tools, when you really identify them and understand the local context, are incredible, important tools. So my invitation is to keep navigating between peace and art, because what I said in the book is not the final port what it matters, is the journey through ports. So thank you, Raymond. And thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. I've learned a lot with these amazing people that wrote this magic piece. And now, Raymond, I think you're going to explain us what's next.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do, we thought we would go into some breakout sessions now, just to kind of reflect on this and maybe explore some of your own work that you've done, or your own feelings towards art and peace, or explore any ways that maybe art or creativity has touched you, as well as you know, what you might be doing in your daily life and peace building, you know, on a project or personal level. So we have some breakout questions here for you. I'm just going to share my screen to give you these, and I'll ask Lihor if he can copy and paste those into the chat here. Okay, can everyone see my screen there? So we just thought we would break out and see if there's anything you heard in the presentation that resonates with you, or you can comment on. And if there's been any piece of art that has made an impression for you, what was it and how? Or what does art for peace mean to you? Or any example of using art for peace or creative peace building? Or any experience bringing artists and peace builders together? If you could choose one of those questions and maybe answer it for 3 minutes or so in a group. We're going to put you in groups of about 5 people. And just go around and have a informal, reflective talk about this, or about any other subjects that come up. And we'll bring you back in about 10 minutes, and we'll summarize, and we'll share the book with you in different electronic formats. So I will ask our technical liaison to magically put us in those groups. We might have lost our technical liaison. Wonder if Maria can help. So sorry with us, bear with us, everyone. Well,
Okay, maybe some of the hosts can start answering some of the questions. Like, give us 5 minutes while we solve this issue.
okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Thanks for being patient. I was just thinking, I just wanted to just to say a little bit about my involvement with the book, because I think it might be helpful for everyone whilst we're waiting for the tech side to be sorted out. So my role was really I'm an integrative arts psychotherapist, so I work with creativity and healing and well-being with all sorts of different contexts around the world. And I've been working with women's peacemakers. And I think what is very striking about this book is that it's the result of a lot of process that women's peacemakers have been through to really look at, how can we do this with integrity, and how can we do this with a deep sense of respect for communities? What does communication mean, and what does this collaboration and this nexus between creativity and artists and communities, what does that really, really mean, where we hold on to our core values and really breathe into partnerships from that place of core values? And I think, it's been a real honor for me to be working alongside the team, because they want to go deep diving into what does it mean to have this integrity, and what does it mean to then to bring creativity and community peacemaking and peace building together in a way that is in honor and in service of the community as a priority, not as a secondary thought or as a kind of an agenda of a whether it's a funder or another big agenda, but it's actually making sure that the people are at the center of this. And I think the guidelines that are in the book are going to be so interesting to you all, especially if you're working in the field, because that was really birthed through this very deep process that we went through together, that really forged then a way of practice that has really then has been taken on board and has been run through projects that women's peacemakers have done in Cambodia. And so I'm really excited to be part of this, seeing the evolution of this journey. And I think that's what comes through in the book. It really is there as a tool. So I just wanted to share the bit of the backstory whilst we were waiting, and hopefully that will inspire you to consider, what is anchoring you into the core values of then how can you integrate the arts in peace building. And I put this little quote up by Picasso, that sense of, I do think that everyone is inherently creative and everyone has an artistry within them, whatever shape or form that is. And then how can we enable that in the most vulnerable and marginalized communities to really bloom into life so that we can look at complex issues.
Thank you, Carrie. I think with that reflection, with that inspiration, I think we're ready to go into the smaller groups. So enjoy the conversation. It was a great journey to 3 different countries.
Wow. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone.
Okay. Hey, Ida. Good, I think we're all back.
Great.
Yeah. I just wanted to share with you, Florence was just saying this wonderful metaphor of when she was part of building a big mosaic, and she was reflecting on how much that touched her and left a lasting impression. And then I was imagining us all coming back on this Zoom mosaic, and just recognizing that how creativity can make us feel part of something much bigger is what Florence was saying. And I think that was a profound point to consider as we're coming together, and in terms of what this book represents, is how can we enable people to play a small part in a bigger creative process to look at peace building and change. So that was Florence's thoughts.
And for me, it was great to kind of travel to 3 different countries in a second. In 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I travel and I hear experiences from all around the world. So I think it's beautiful, even that if we're at home, we're connected and we're hearing people's stories from different perspectives, different realities. So it was great to be in this group, hearing these amazing symbolisms and experiences. So thank you for the journey. It was a great journey.
Great. I was kind of hopping in with my very, very low Zoom ability. I was hopping in and out of different groups, and really insights and thoughts from people. So thank you for letting me all creep into your rooms, or some of you for the last few minutes. And thank you for sharing some of those beautiful ideas with me.
Yeah. I also really thank you. You know, like today, as we observe the International Day of Living Together in Peace, I think by what we are doing right now with so many people from all around the world coming together, sharing thoughts and experience and be connected and asking one after another, I think it really show that peace is possible, indeed. And I think this is such I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get connected to everyone, Zoom in and Zoom out and all of this. So really, thank you.
Thanks, and also Lihor just posted a link on the side here for anyone that wants to continue the conversation Facebook group, and you can just request access if you want to keep the conversation going and connect with each other, and we can keep this going. And also one of the thoughts was if you want to, we're going to share the book with you in different formats, and if you wanted to ever get together again or contact any of us directly, or we do another Zoom maybe in a few months after you've read the book and we reflect more on it, we would love it. So please join the Facebook group there, or connect with us through the Eventbrite invitation that you received, or however you like to stay in touch and to keep in contact on this really meaningful and deep field of practice for me and for a lot of people here.
And I think I just want to add to that now that we're home, I think we're all living the COVID situation from different perspectives and different parts of the world. But I think that more than ever, this situation is going to bring peace on our together. I mean, this is definitely the moment we've seen that culture and arts are the ones that are keeping us like mentally healthy and connected and active and in a different dimension. I'll say that this is the point where we really see the value of art, and more than ever, we need to think about the peace that we need to build after, like during, after this situation.
So without further ado, shall we share the ways to access this free version of the book?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So we have basically two online formats now. There's a PDF for all of those desktop lovers, and there is also a EPUB format for e-readers and books. And we'll just share a link. We have a link right now accessible on a website that you can download it. And I can try to, my plan was to, I'm going to try to share the actual document in here for you. Both of them. The first one is the PDF, and the second one is the e-publication. So you can download those, or you can just go to the website and download them on your computers or your phones or whatever devices that you're using. And I'll also follow up with an email from this for everybody that registered and give you access again. Yes, it looks like this file is going to take a very long time, so I think you're probably best to go to that link that Lihor just sent above the files.
And feel free to post any questions as well, and maybe there's going to be some ongoing dialogue, and yeah, as you read the book, and yeah, feel free to get in touch with any of us.
So I think we're going to officially close our book launch for Navigating the Nexus of Art and Peace. We invite you to read the book, and I think some of us are going to stay around and hang out for a little bit informally and chat and catch up with some old faces and talk more with some new faces. So feel free to stay, and feel free to go and start your days or finish your days wherever you are.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming.
Thanks, everyone.
So much.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
And Akira saying
Gracias.
Thank you.
Simon.
Thank you, Raymond.
Very, very good to
Thank
see
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
saying
Bye.
Akira
Bye-bye.
good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Jumpery, bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Donna.
Bye. So good
Bye,
to see you.
Sajin.
You too.
Wow, Sejin is a lot like you, Donna.
She's like
I had
my
a
older
good conversation
sister.
with- I had a good conversation with you. She is like, she's writing the next book.
I'm so glad you guys connected.
Bye.
Bye,
Me dio
Araceli.
gusto
Marta.
Ya,
verte.
yo también
Chao,
a ti.
Marta.
Estamos en contacto.
Seguro.
Sí. Ok. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, woo,
Fiona is my good friend here who is not too far away from me right now.
Oh, you guys are amazing. Wow.
She's an insider, so.
What?
Peace.
Peace,
Oh,
Fiona.
amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then there were 6.